wrap-up of the year. Who is excited and why am I doing it late? Again, as per usual. I mean, new year, nothing changes apparently. Hello beautiful bookworms! My name is Katarina and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my January wrap-up, a little bit late to the party. I know it's already February, but alas, now was the only time that I had to film this, and I had to finish the little books that I still had to finish, and so for that reason alone, we are here today. So, I have had some e-arcs. Most of them were NetGalley e-arcs, so I would like to thank NetGalley, but the opinions are my own, as per usual, as you're all used to. But I also had an e-arc that wasn't a NetGalley e-arc, and I'm going to mention it in a little bit. I have also read, of course, physical things because it's me, and as you can see in my background, I have physical books and I enjoy having them. So let's get straight into what I read. So to get this party properly started, I am going to state that I've read Junji Ito's Cat Diary and also Deserter by Junji Ito. These are two mangas that I have a review for. I have made a double feature review. I have also reviewed all of Junji Ito's other works, and so I will leave my playlist of all of my Junji Ito reviews up and above so that you can go and check out more in detail what I thought about these two. Cat Diary is actually a terrible comedy, let's just say like that. So it's about Junji Ito's experiences with his fiancée and the kittens that she brought home. And Deserter is a collection of his early short stories, his horror early short stories. So this one does have trigger warnings, whilst this one doesn't really have any. So I really enjoy them. I was actually very upbeat reading Deserter because I had a feeling that most of his short stories were now or recycled or maybe not that great, and Deserter was awesome. Some of the stories in here were actually terrifying. There's a lot of trigger warnings, and you already know if you don't like body horror, don't read Junji Ito's works because you will be triggered. But yeah, go check my review if you have any doubts about these. But yeah, I read these this month. Then I finished an e-arc that I started in December of 2021, and I finished it in January, and that was The Crowns of Croswald by D.E. Knight. So this actually came out in July 21st of 2017, so it's a really very late e-arc that I got, so it's actually almost not an e-arc at all, but I read it because I have heard a lot of people talking about it, and it's supposed to be a middle grade fantasy that people compare to Harry Potter. Some say it's better than it, some say it's not, but they compare it, and it's like a magical school and this girl, and she's a chosen one and she doesn't know it yet. So I wanted to read it, and I was very intrigued by the premise of it. However, even though it was nice and fun, it wasn't a book that I wanted to pick up consistently, and I felt like it was very middle of the road. It could be fun throughout the entirety of the series, but it had many plot points that weren't exactly explained. The world building wasn't done properly, in my opinion. A lot of things were left confusing, and so I gave it a 3 stars, I believe. It was cute, but it wasn't enough to make me want to read more of these. So for me, the Crowns of Croswald series is not really a series that I want to get into, but if you love middle grade and you want to check it out, I would encourage you to. It's a middle of the road middle grade. It's cool, it's fun, and it's cute. So if you don't have a lot of world building anxieties and that you want everything to be like explained and perfect, and if not explaining the magic system doesn't make like a bad impression on you, then you can read it. It's fun. Just that's what I have to say. Then next, a physical one that I read, and actually my first read of 2022, Hello Dove by Gillian Dowell. I actually already made a review for this one. I do believe it was my last video. However, I will leave a link up above as well so that you guys can check it out. So Hello Dove is sort of a mix between a stream of conscience novel and a dark romance. It has some trigger warnings, but not a lot of them, and even though it's a very slow-paced novel, it's a novel about a journey of this young girl that is discovering, well, young girl, she's a new adult, pretty much, that is discovering what it means to live, and that sometimes the family that you choose is better than the family that you have, and what it means to lose your innocence, basically, and grow up. And I really enjoyed it. It was really interesting. It was beautifully written. I actually loved it, and I wasn't expecting to like it as much because I had no idea what this was about. The premise of this is like an intrigue if you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And I do recommend, if you're picking this up, you should get into it as blind as possible, because it is a self-discovery and a supposed discovery of the character throughout the entirety of the story until you reach the end. And so it's very interesting, it's very intriguing. The writing of this is beautiful, as I already stated, and so I would highly recommend you read it. Then I read an e-arc for a graphic novel, which I don't normally do, and I don't really enjoy doing just because I like physical graphic novels and manga more. However, this one was pretty amazing, and I do believe that it's only available in digital format, which is really sad for me because I wanted this one for my collection. It's pretty beautiful, and that is Graveneye. So this one came out on December 1st of 2020, and it's by TKO Studios. And it's by Sloan Leon and Anna Bowles, I believe, so the author and the illustrator. So Graveneye, it's a raw horror story, sort of a gothic story about this woman that lives in this creepy house, and the house is a narrator of the story, and this woman that is going to the house to clean the house. So it's kind of like a Bluebeard sort of thing, because the cleaner of the house, she can't go into the basement of the house, and the woman that lives there is kind of strange, and she has these weird feelings for the cleaning lady, but it's so much more than that. It has to do with violence, it has to do with being reborn, it has to do with rawness and acts that we make because we can't fight them, but we actually don't think they're correct, and it sort of has to do with self-destructing ourselves to deal with some situations in life. And it's all black and white with just sprites of red, and it's beautiful. The art style of this is gorgeous, and the narration of it is made by the house and by pieces and pieces of the house, and it's just one of the most beautiful and hauntingly gothic, kind of sapphic Roman story that I've ever read, and I really enjoyed it. And if it's something that you're interested in, it's really short, and I think that if you can, you should get it because it's beautiful. And I'm still going to try to find a way to get it, because I will lose my copy now. It expired, and I want to reread it for some reason. I really like it. Then I've read something that I read every month, and that is The Joker issue 10. So it's not actually issue 10 that I read every month, but every month I have an issue of The Joker to read, and I read it this month as well. So The Joker is now being co-written by Matthew Rosenberg and James Tynion IV, and the artist and colorist is Francesco Francavilla, and the lettering is done by Tom Napolitano. Previously, the art style was done by another person, but now it's this person. And I had to state, I like the previous art style more. However, this one was nice as well. I could get into it, but I felt like this issue served absolutely no purpose. It was another flashback, and I just feel like it was a filler. People that know Joker's stories know about what happened in this one. They didn't need to be reminded, and people that didn't know something about what happened here was told in a previous issue, so they're just dawdling for some reason. So I wasn't as happy with this issue as I've been with the others. However, it wasn't a bad issue, and the art style was cool, and of course the stories of the Joker and Batman are always interesting to me, but yeah, it wasn't as great as I was expecting. On the contrary, I bet that you remember these. The Joker presents a puzzle box, and how I stated in my first video of the year, sort of, I think, that this was my least favorite comic that I've read in last year, 2021. This one and issue 2 as well. However, I reread them this year, this first one and the second one, because I've got issue 3, issue 4, and issue 5. And I just ate this. Okay. And issue 5. And I have to say that even though the first 2/3 issues were still not that incredible, issue 4 and issue 5, particularly issue 5, are making me feel like I was possibly wrong with this comic series. So now I'm more intrigued. There seems to be a new premise and a new situation in here. This is about Riddler's death and who is behind it, and all of the villains are implicated apparently, but they say that it's Joker's fault and that Batman has something to do with it because he allied with the Joker, which, I mean, it couldn't possibly be true, could it? But all the villains say that, except for the Joker. So we don't know what's going on. It's about a police interview that they're doing to the Joker. Hence, Joker presents a puzzlebox. But yeah, it's getting more interesting. It's still not my favorite Joker story, but it's getting more interesting. That's all I can say. I forgot to tell you that this is written by Matthew Rosenberg. The artists are a myriad of artists throughout the issues, and the colorists as well. So yeah, the covers are always done by Chip Zdarsky, and they are pretty cool. Then another arc that I read was Hide by Nell Pattison. And this is supposed to come out on March 1st of 2022, but I do believe that it's a reprint paperback of the first publication done in December 9th of 2021. So this is supposed to be a thriller about a group of people that don't really know each other a lot, but they like to watch birds, and they work, some of them work at a reservation, a bird reservation. Supposedly one of them ends up dead, and we are led to believe that one of them is the murderer. And we are supposed to try and figure out who it was and what happened. And I mean, first of all, I didn't care about either one of these people. Like, there are like 7 people, and I couldn't care the fuck less throughout the entirety of the book. I mean, it was fun to read, and it does have disability representation because we have someone that is actually deaf and has to use hearing aids, but we have characters of different ages, which is also fun, but I mean, it was fun to read, I guess, but you could guess very quickly who it was. And all of their motives were just so... I mean, would they kill someone for specific motives? And the way that the climax arrived was just the strangest thing in the world. Like, why do that now? It was just, the timings were all wrong, and the characters were very changeable. They didn't have an actual fixed personality, in my opinion. So it was fun, but I wouldn't recommend for an actual serious thriller reading. I would recommend if you're new to thrillers and if it's something new to you, but neither of the characters liked each other, and I personally didn't like any of the characters, so I don't know how you can enjoy that thriller, but maybe you can, who knows. Then I have finally finished the first part of The Nice House on the Lake. So I read issue 5, which is this one, and issue 6, which is this one. And this is by James Tynion IV and Alvaro Martinez Bueno and Jordi Belair, and it's by DC Black Label. I am in love with this series. So many theories. I don't want to spoil anything for you, so I'm just going to say we have a very varied cast of characters. We have a lot of representation, and we have a group of people that is inside of a house on the lake. And they don't really know each other all that much, but they kind of know each other. There's a connection between them, and that's all that I'm going to say. It's amazing. It's horror, but at the same time, it's not really, really ultimate horror. It doesn't have that many triggers, at least that I'm seeing now. And it's great. Our characters are actually smart and not as supposed teenagers in horror slasher movies that are actually really, really dumb. So I really like to see smart characters making decisions, even though I still think that they're going to fuck everything up. But I love this. I love this so much. Nice House on the Lake was my favorite comic series of last year, and it's stepping up to be the best of this year as well, because this is great, and I cannot wait for the life of me that the second part of the 6 issues that are missing, I think, comes out, because I really need this. I need to read this. Then my last NetGalley arc for this month was Mestiza Blood, or Mestiza Blood. I don't know how you're supposed to say that, but yeah, that's by V. Castro, and it came out on 18th January of this year, so really close if you want to go grab a copy of it. And I have read a previous book by V. Castro, but that was an entirety of a novel, and this one is a short story collection. So you know me with short stories collections, I believe that not all of them are great in general. If I'm reading a short story collection, there are going to be some that I like more than others. I don't think, well, I mean, apart from Haruki Murakami's stories, which I like less than his novels, but I like all of them, I don't think that I like all short stories in an anthology the same, especially if they are from different writers, because you have to get into a new writing style very, very quickly. However, I do appreciate that anthologies are done so that you can give the view of different authors about different points of view and different topics. And in this case, we only have one author, which is V. Castro, and she just did a short story collection about short stories and legends of the Latino culture and some dystopic stories contemplating COVID, and stories that come from her folklore and legends that she knows about probably growing up. And I really enjoyed some of them, and some of them I didn't particularly liked. I have to say that most of them that had to do with the pandemic weren't exactly my thing. I'm not a very dystopian person, and even though the pandemic books don't trigger me, I think that some of the reimaginings that she did of our situation through horror weren't really enjoyable. For some reason, I couldn't see them as enjoyable, but that's me. Some people might enjoy it. However, some of the stories that I've read were just my thing. I love some of them. The last one was awesome. I really enjoy it, and some of them in between were really great. I really like them. Obviously, she tackles situations like xenophobia, racism, obviously immigration and everything. I do believe, I'm not sure if she's Mexican, but it talks a lot about the Mexican culture. So I do believe that she is a non-voices creator. But it's just, I really like her writing because she always shows you unhinged, really angry women as main characters, and then normally in developing where they're like related to goddesses of the Latin cultures, or like, I don't know, it's so cool. I love folkloric horror, and I think that she does it well. Even though I didn't enjoy all of the stories, I do recommend that you go and read this, because I think her voice is an awesome voice in horror nowadays, and so I do recommend it. Another book that I read was a book that was lent to me by a friend of mine, and that is The Ambassador's Mission by Trudy Canavan. And this is book one of the Traitor Spy trilogy. So I have done a review a long time ago about the first trilogy in this world, in Trudy Canavan's world. How is it called? Yeah, it's not here. But whatever, I have done a review about that, and I really love that trilogy, so I'm going to leave it link up above if you want to check it out and you've never heard of Trudy Canavan. But this first one was interesting. It follows some years after the ending of the first trilogy. However, I don't really believe that you specifically need to read the first trilogy in order to know what is going on with this trilogy. I do believe that you will have more context and that you would appreciate some of the characters that appear again, but I do think that the explanations that they give you here are enough if you want to start through here. So this is about a society of magicians, which I don't really want to explain, so to not spoil the other book, and we are talking about two people that go from that country to an enemy country to play ambassadors. And they have a mission to recollect story of magic through there, and one of them gets kidnapped. And there's other stuff happening in the other part of the city, so it's a very large world building and world that Trudy Canavan created. To be completely honest, this first book took me a while to read, and not because I was reading all of these. I was reading all of these because this one wasn't grabbing my attention enough for me to actually pick it up every single day. And when I have difficulty picking up a book, especially a fantasy book, normally it's because something is not holding my attention, and I think that's because this one has a little bit of a lack of action-y. The ending is more action-y than most of the book, and so for that reason I read the ending faster than the rest of the book. It's not the book's fault. I really like Trudy Kennefin's writing, and when I start reading I don't want to put it down, but the problem is to start actually reading the book. So yeah, but it's enjoyable. I think, I don't know, I haven't rated it yet, but it's cool, it's enjoyable. I hope that the second and third of this trilogy, I have them here, also Lent, but I hope that they are better so that I can finish them quickly and give them to their rightful owner. Then I got an e-arc that it wasn't really an e-arc, it was a review copy, but whatever. That wasn't from NetGalley, it was actually from the author itself, which I'm very happy about that. And I got the arc for The House That Burns, which is the first book in the Price Manor series. So it's Price Manor, The House That Burns, and this one is by Mike Salt. And Mike Salt is a Hindi horror author, and you can find his books in Amazon. This book is already there, so if you want to go and grab a copy, I would highly advise you to do so. And this just came out in January, so it was perfect for me to read. And I read it and reviewed it on Goodreads, but I want to review it here really quickly because I think it is deserving. I absolutely love this book. First of all, it was the first book that I read by Mike Salt, and I know that he does have other books, I just haven't had the time to pick them up yet, but I loved his writing style. It's just so action-packed and everything is happening at the same time, and I really love it, and it's just so compelling and so creepy, and I really enjoyed it. So, Price Manor, The House That Burns, it's about this couple and a couple friend that were running away from this forest fire that was spreading through the city where they lived. So they are inside a car, they are trying to run for their lives, and when they get to some place, they find another couple, a neighboring couple that they knew, and a house in the middle of nowhere that wasn't there the day before. And they think that there's someone in the house, so they think, okay, we have to go and save that person because the fire is just on our back, it's spreading, so we have to go save that person and then go away. Little do they know that that manor is actually Price Manor, and it is a haunted manor that wants them dead. And apart from that, there are more plot twists, there are more than one ghost, which I absolutely love. Haunted houses with more than one ghost, because that's what we want in horror. And the ghosts are sort of creepy, the imagery of the house is incredibly creepy. All of our characters, you can relate to them at some point, and you want them to survive and you want them to live, and there are so many surprises at every turn and every staircase around the house, and it's madness, people. And if you've ever read or want to read or like haunted house stories, I had so much fun and I was creeped out of my mind in some scenes. I love those scenes. I laughed, I almost cried, I'm not going to tell you why. I was frozen, and I was like, okay, move on, people, you have to survive, go, 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 go. And it's awesome, and it's just the first installment of the Price Manor series, and each and every book in the series is going to be from a different author. So yes, more, go buy it if you like horror. It does have some trigger warnings, it has some gory descriptions, and it does have some complicated situations, but if you feel the need to check it out, just tell me something in the comments down below and I will give you the trigger warnings, or you can just go check in Amazon. I'm not sure if they're available or not, but I will tell you if you want to. But I thoroughly advise, if you like horror, if you like haunted house horror, this is one of the best. I loved it. Then again, I have read another one that you know that I already love, which is Magus of the Library Volume 5 by Mitsu Izumi. Oh, I love this series so fucking much. Like, I have a review for the first 3 volumes in the series. I have read the 4th, I have read the 5th, and I cannot wait for the 6th, which is only coming out the second half of this year, and I can't wait for it to make a second review of the second arc. Magus of the Library is amazing. If you have the opportunity to read this manga, please, please buy it. And I'm saying buy the physical version because, first of all, there's only 5 so far, so you're good. And second of all, you don't want to read this digitally. I have nothing against reading digitally. However, if you're in for the art style and the story, the double spread pages, the beauty of this is just, it's perfection. And the covers just go around and they represent different things. And I think that you should really read it in its original state because wow, what a great story. Every time that a single volume of these ends, I am like, motherfucker, another cliffhanger that I love it. I love it. Mitsui Izumi, yes, yes. And then the final manga that I've read, I am not ashamed of this, okay? I am not ashamed of this. I started a new manga series because, yeah, I don't have a lot of those, not at all. So I read Rosen Blood, Volume 1 by Kachiru Ichizue, and this is a shoujo manga. For those of you that don't know what that means, this is majorly romance, and it's called Rosen Blood, so you know it's gonna have to do with vampires, and it's a trashy vampire manga series, and I love it. I loved it. I can't give it 5 stars because the pacing is just so fucking fast. There are things that are not explained at all, and I'm like, I have whiplash sometimes. I'm like, wait, why are we here if you were somewhere else in the last page? But I don't care. And you know why I don't care? Because it has everything that I love. The vampires in this are vampires, first of all. Sorry, I'm fangirling. Second of all, it has an actual cool mythology bending of the vampire blood drinking thing. The art of this is actually beautiful, which I am not used to in shoujo manga. I normally like seinen art style more. And the story is strangely compelling. It's very gothic looking, and I think that this is posing to be, not explicit, I believe, but this is posing to be sort of a reverse harem. So like, we have 4 vampires and only 1 female character. And I am seeing stuff happening. I mean, she already chose her dude, but I think that she's going to have her life made very difficult by the other people. And there's actually creepy scenes in this. There's a lot of blood. Not as much as I was thinking about, but there's blood. So if you have trigger warnings about blood, yeah. There is an almost assault scene that of course has to do with drinking blood, but it looked like other things, so if you have trigger warnings with that, yes. But there's creepy, dark things going on, and it all has to do with the thorn forest of roses. And I like it very much. I mean, I'm not going to apologize for being a trashy vampire whore. This is what I am. I can read a myriad of things. I love classics, I love magical realism, I love horror, I love fantasy. But I'm trash for this, and I will not apologize. It was so fucking cool. I want more. I hope there's more. So that's going to be all for this video. It's already a very, very long video. I'm sorry to all of you. So yeah, if you know any of these books, want to know any of these books, or have questions about the existence of the world or trashy vampire novels, it can be either of those things, comment down below. You know that I always love to answer to your comments and questions and yada yada yada. So that's going to be all for today, and happy readings to you all. Bye!